Well, hello again. Leslie Davis here for the Earth Protector Show. You know the Earth Protectors. We've been helping fight for clean air and water and land and justice and freedom and good education and good food. And we're losing the fight. 35 years I've been doing this, and we're losing the fight. Actually, we've lost the fight. We're right under the thumb of the masters. They've got us on everything. On the money, on the armaments, we can't move without their permission. Pretty soon we're going to have ID cards for other things. The President of the United States seems to think you need an ID card to show ID to buy groceries. That's not quite accurate. If you want to buy the groceries and you want cash back from your charge or whatever, certain things require you to show identification. But you know what's interesting? You don't need identification to show to vote. When I went to vote in this last primary election, I showed them, they wouldn't even look at it. I said, well, I want you to look at it because I think that, how do you know who I am if I don't show you my identification? So there's a whole fuss and fight over that issue. But what stunned me in my whole presentation for today was I read this article while I had a piece of banana bread at the coffee shop. I read this article about the Minneapolis school chief. That's where we're based, Earth Protectors in Minneapolis. Let me just show you who you are. Remember us, Earth Protectors? I should be able to buzz this right up. There we go. Earth Protector, that's our logo, our symbol. That's what we put on the products we endorse. For example, you know, I'm working this television thing on my own. Isn't that pretty great? Don't need anything. I've got a whole deal set up. All my stuff on the table here. Everything you ever wanted to know. So what I was going to look for was the treatment. If you got a big truck, or you got an old car, or you have anything that needs, that has a motor, like a lawnmower or a snowmobile, a boat, Chris Craft big engines, you want to put the treatment in those engines. What the treatment will do, make your engine run smoother, cleaner, and last longer. And that's money in your pocket. And I'll give you a sample for free. If you want to check it out, you can try it. You got dirty old smoky 68 Buick, we put in a couple ounces of this and clean it up in about 4 to 6 weeks. Hard to know where to start. We could talk about the money, 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 money. Everybody loves the money. If I hit that, then I can bring you in closer to me. See, like that? Now you got the close-up, Leslie. Hey, how come that sign for governor is up there behind me? Because people think I dropped out of the race. I didn't drop out of the race. I'm just not in one of the parties, so I'm not going to be on the ballot. But I could run as a write-in candidate. That's a pretty big challenge. But if you help and we get somebody down the road as a lieutenant governor running mate, I don't have one yet, but I will. And all I would need to qualify in November to have my votes counted is to send a letter to the Minnesota Secretary of State 1 week before the November 6th election with the name of my lieutenant governor running mate, and they'll count my, and the request to count my votes. And I'll do that. And if I get about 800,000 votes, I'll be the next governor. And if I'm not the next governor, you're going to be in a shit house where you've been for the last 10 years. You're 10 years behind. They all moved on ahead without you. All the Warren Buffetts and the Bill Gates and Donald Trump and his whole family and all millionaires, billionaires, gazillionaires rising around us. And where are you? Where are we? Well, I know where I am. What I did, I gave it up to develop this Earth Protector brand as something that everybody wants to be, all the kids want to be. You're an Earth Protector, you get to be a friend of Nibbles, the rabbit. That's the Earth Protector rabbit. Nibbles? Beaver, got Paddletail, the beaver. You know why we picked Beaver, Paddletail, as one of the kind of lead characters, is because beavers are intelligent, industrious, hardworking, always working. That's it. Busy as a beaver. I'm working like a beaver. I'm working hard as a beaver. Beavers work. That's what we want kids to do. And that's what the mayor and the commissioner of schools, what is it, the superintendent of schools, Ed Graff, superintendent. I never heard of him before. Maybe I did, but I didn't pay attention to it. It's not one of my areas of interest, but it is now. He says, he's talking about wanting $30 million more than the budget that's out there, asking the city or the legislature for that. He says, however, programs alone will not address the swift changes needed in housing, transportation, and employment. Swift changes needed. The superintendent, you think swift changes are coming? There's not swift changes coming. He says, well, swift changes are needed in housing, transportation, and employment. What is he talking about? What changes are needed in transportation? I know one thing. We have to get out of the fuels that we're in, whether it's coal and gas and oil and all of that kind of stuff, because it's fouling the air. It's making us sick and unhealthy. A lot of people being treated for a variety of illnesses. So we like the kids, when you become an earth protector, this whole campaign is moving forward now. I'm developing the whole concept from clothing to condoms. We're going to have the Earth Protector name brand known throughout the world as solid, dependable, reliable, knowledgeable people. So there's Paddletail, and we have the story. I love having everything laid out like this in front of me. And here's the first story. Let's see if I can bring you in close here. That's the first story about the Earth Protector animals at Little Lake and Wonderful Woods. There we go. 4-page story, 3-page story, and it's wonderful. It's heart-wrenching, it's warm, it's instructive, and strong. So Earth Protector animals, we've got a skunk and a butterfly and a bear, and Irving the bear. It's going to be great. Imagine what the Irving stuffed bear is going to be like at retail. Going to be sensational for whoever's selling it. I'm not going to go around selling bears, but I'll sell the opportunity to a merchant that's got 100 or 1,000 stores, or maybe even Walmart or Target, somebody like that. Imagine if they had Irving, the Earth Protector bear, for sale in their stores. They'd sell a bajillion, who knows how many. I was in the apparel business, so I have a good sense of how many out of how many can sell in what period of time. I understand that whole mechanism. But I don't when it comes to toys or stuffed animals or people like that. How much would a paddletail? What kid wouldn't want to have a paddletail growing up in their room? Or Nibbles, a brave female rabbit, they're buddies, and they work well together. And Eagle Eye, he's a big friend of ours. And Eagle Eye, we got to watch out for him. Sometimes he'll grab a rabbit, not always getting dead creatures off the roads for the eagles. Sometimes they grab a nice mellow little rabbit, a little rabbit. So in the working of it, we're going to have the stuffed animals and the caps and all that whole trip that goes with the structure, the snapbacks. I know all that, but I didn't think I was going to have to do that. I thought that I'd offer this up, and somebody that comes along with a lot of money that could put a bunch of people together could make this happen. Backpacks and tennis shoes. We've got all the samples, but didn't execute. 35 years, so I'm ready to execute. Either license the brand to somebody that wants to put it on their product, and they could say, we're licensed Earth Protector, and Earth Protectors will have a membership card, so it'll be identifiable with a number on it. So for example, I'm working on a couple of different opportunities with the automobile industry. If you go in and show the Earth Protector card to a certain brand that I'm working with at this point, after you make your final deal, okay, that card is going to be $25,850, bang. You show the Earth Protector, and tell them ahead of time, show the Earth Protector membership card, you get 100 off right there at that spot. After the deal is made, then you show the Earth Protector card and you get that extra 100. Don't tell them ahead of time, because they'll know that, so they'll build that in. So the superintendent of schools, I'm going to send him a letter here. Swift changes needed in housing, transportation, and employment. Like housing, you know, what kind of housing? Oh, swift change in housing. It's not going to be affordable. There's no such thing as affordable housing. It's out of control. So you see, they say we're going to have lower your taxes a little bit. I don't know who they're talking about. They're going to lower their taxes. But then the price of everything goes up. You know, the buses went up recently within the last year or so, another quarter, a half a dollar. I used to ride the trolley or the bus when I was a kid. I was a nickel. So I could see, well, today, inflation, all of that kind of stuff, maybe it'd be 20 cents or a quarter. $2.50. 50 times it costs to ride a bus today than it did when I was a kid. Unless you go non-rush hour, then it's $2 against the nickel, so it's only 40 times more. We're being played, and we're going along with it. We're drinking the fluoridated water. We're not complaining about it because, oh, we think that they're being honest with us about it. The health department, that's a bunch of crap. I got all kinds of, oh, you want an interesting paper? This paper, let's see, maybe if I can do that, I can give you a nice close-up of the paper. Well, there it goes. Now frame me up a little bit. Look at that, the way that happens. Isn't that great? And here's the paper. The title of it, Murder by Injection. And it's the story of the medical conspiracy against America. Interesting paper. Give me a call, I'll send it to you. I'm not going to send it to you. If you had a bumper sticker on your car, I'd send it to you. If you were an Earth Protector supporter, not with your money, but with your heart, and you get out there with me and you called, or you emailed, or you some way communicated with me about your interest in protecting yourself, your money, your home, your health care. You know, I have a paper here put out by a group called the Physicians for a National Health Program. So they want this single payer deal, and I looked over this single payer. It's not so bad. They said, well, you have to wait online in the services and all of that. I think they're exaggerating that, but we could head that off at the pass by having more trained medical people. I like to see this, the nurses, what do they call them? What nurses? Nurses, instructive nurses? Can't remember that. Blanked. Brr. Nurse. Can't remember. So single payer healthcare, not bad. Fluoride in the water, bad. Say, by the way, let me give you the number where you can reach me, because there's a lot to talk about. Leslie Davis, Davis for Governor, Earth Protector, Founder and President. Write this number down someplace, because you'll call me one of these days, because you're going to hear about it. I may do this write-in for governor deal. I might find some big famous person to run along with me. And then we'll explain to you the new reality. This old reality that we can borrow our way out of debt, that's just not going to happen. That's, where are you now in terms of your finances? You think you're going to be better off next year? No, you're not. I mean, you're not going to have lower taxes. They're all talking about raising taxes. Oh, they come in the back, they'll do it with a school levy or a property tax. I think there should be one tax in the whole nation, and that's a consumption tax, single tax, collected in one entity and distributed to whoever collects taxes, whether it's for schools or anything else. So you go and you buy something, and you buy this paper, and it's $1.50. You'll pay an extra quarter or half a buck for it, maybe 25–30%, because that's going to be the big tax pot. get distributed to everybody. So in the new reality, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to change the way money is created and comes into circulation. This inflation thing going on, because you're not getting ahead any place. You might get a temporary hit here, or you might get a little more time to pay your loans, but you're screwed, my friend. You're going down, and that's the plan. The plan is to take you down, because you're where the money is, in your birth certificate, in your name. If they've got your name and they've got your ID and your contract, because when the money was no good, they said, well, I'm sorry, we're going to have a silver or gold or something else, or copper or clean water, one thing or another. You're not going to continue doing business the way you are. So where do we go from here? What's to do? You could get a bumper sticker, you could give me a call, you could get any of this stuff. Or you could meet, you could help coordinate a meetup group with me. Do it alone? Maybe I'll do it alone. I would do it alone to hire people if I could get the Herb Protector brand sold and licensed and get some money moving. But I'm not able to get enough money for operations. Single guy. Maybe if we win a case on the whistleblower deal on a 35W bridge, who knows what can happen over there? It could be millions of dollars, but it could be late. You know, as governor, I would be the chairman of the State Board of Investment. There's 4 people that make up the board, the hierarchy of the board. And the reason this is important is because the State Board of Investment holds and parks all the money for the pension funds and the retirement things and kind of like that. And they have, at last note, $93 billion in holdings that they can sell off and convert, you know, got to do it carefully, to cash. So as governor, I would suggest and recommend and work with my legislative colleagues to extract. Now, I know there's certain rules and laws that govern what can and cannot come out of that, but we'll work it out. We modify the law. We make the law. We modify the Constitution in Minnesota, not the federal, but Minnesota has a state constitution. And we can modify that anytime we want. We don't like to open up the Constitution a lot for changes, but this on the money plan would be terrific. The money would pay for all road and bridge maintenance and construction. City, township, county, state, the whole deal would be paid for by that, and would remove the gasoline tax and the axle tax. And we'd start to get into a wealth money system. But the $20 billion that I would chip off temporarily for the state, and we'll pay them back, is to get these other industries going that will, that will get us out of all those negative fuels and into positive crops, like hemp and a few others that I'd like to mention, and make our conversion into this national health program, into a single-payer system that's more equitable. The big guy's not going to get hurt. Don't worry about the big guy. He'll get medical care. His doctor will always be waiting. He can always pull out an extra $500 of his own to go to the head of the class. So if you got money, you're not going to be waiting online either way. The guy that wasn't even online will get a chance to get online. So let's see, where am I here going? So money, money, money. That's what I need to have. I need to have a letter to 9/11 money. I was going to edit the show, and put in this piece on the World Trade Center, but you're probably not interested. Actually, most young people, they're in high school now. The high school seniors were born in the year the World Trade Centers went down. So there's nothing they can do about that, and there's nothing that you can do about any of this stuff, about fluoride in the water. But I'll tell you one thing. If the politicians in Minnesota knew that Leslie Davis was getting a pile of money for the fluoride issue, they changed their opinion. Because I'll put out their name and their picture and say, we're getting enough fluoride without deliberately putting it in our water. Says, well, years ago, okay, that was years ago. Now we got a lot of fluoride in everything, and all the processed water and processed food. They said, well, if we take the fluoride out of the water, do you want fluoride? Ask your dentist for it, or go get fluoride. Don't put it in my water. So I don't know what we're going to do to stop them. Remember, if you have a truck or a car, stinky old thing, give me a call. We'll talk about putting some of the treatment in your vehicle. Talk about the gubernatorial campaign, getting this word out there. You have a list of email people. Would you get that to me so we can email them a copy of this show and talk about how the money plan? All I need to become governor is people on November 6th write in my name or anything that looks like my name that the vote counters see that could be attributed to me. I get that vote. They put in Erty or Leslie or Davis or whatever. That's my vote. Or the lieutenant governor's name. That's our vote. And they'll be counted if I decide to go forward with the campaign. But I'll need somebody to manage it a little bit because I think we can win. When you look at Johnson as governor, what do you see for your future and a future for your family? Things are cool now, right? Okay, you got a little debt, you got but things are somewhat cool now. With Johnson, they're not going to be cool. It's going to be tight and going to be squabbling. Unless they hold the House and the Senate, then they'll just do whatever they want to do. You'll have Republicans, House and Senate, you have Republicans in Washington, House and Senate, inflicting their things. Now, I'm not saying all their things are bad. Some of them are pretty good. Smaller government, paying up on time for why you're borrowing. Why do you put forward a bonding bill? They call it a bonding bill. Because you're helping your buddies that create the money out of nothing and get interest for it. So I'm going to contact Mr. Graff of Minneapolis and find out swift changes needed in transportation. Well, how about a new pair of shoes? The kids could walk to school in the neighborhood close by. So they built all these mega schools now that they can't heat and air condition and pay for, so they're coming back for more money. And you find out how much the superintendent gets paid. You might think that we'll have to take a look at maybe them chipping in something for that $30 million. Maybe you can kick in a couple of thousand. Okay. So the new reality, if you can think about it, because it's your thoughts that control your mind. Your mind now, you're thinking that, what? Well, that's what's coming. What those thoughts are that are in your mind. So if you're thinking that God will save you, well, because you believe that there's a God to save you. Belief is only a thought that you keep thinking. So if you think that over and over and over again, well, then it's going to become your reality, which it is today. How do you like it? But if your new reality includes me as a governor of Minnesota, then your whole world is different. The economic picture is different, the structure of the economy, the whole attitude is different of everybody in the state of Minnesota, because now we're all in. We're all in. Not just a fringe player, because I'm your man. I'm the governor of the state of Minnesota. And what I say goes in terms of my branch of government, executive branch of government. I manage that for you. I'm not the legislature. I don't make laws. I'm not the House or the Senate. They make the laws. They pass them. I have to sign them and approve them. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If I don't, and they don't like it, they can go over me. And then the judiciary. They're on their own. I don't tell them what to do, and I don't make their rules. That's the three parts of government. The legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. I'm the executive branch. I appoint the commissioners of about 18 to 20 different agencies. Department of Commerce, Pollution Control Agency, Department of Natural Resources. Let me get you nice and close over here so I could tell you what's happening. And I'm going to point people that are going to structure this the way I see it, in terms of the economy and the roads and bridges and healthcare and training dental hygienists. Well, who paid for them and why them? I have answers to all those things, but it's not simple. It's complicated stuff to do, but I've got a handle on it. How we're going to make the economy better and the education system better, to bring it up to where everybody has a fair shot at, not fighting, not bickering. The unions and the healthcare workers and fighting against each other. We're going to have to look at it, and you have to stop the inflation. The inflation is not caused by too much money chasing too few goods. Inflation is caused by demand that doesn't exist for a product that nobody wants, and that's called inflation. Does it make sense? Of course it doesn't. Neither does inflation. Because if you had an honest money system, a wealth money system, somebody couldn't drive up the price of something by driving up the price of their company, like they do with the stocks and bonds. And I know where all the money is. I know what the CAFRs are. CAFRs, C-A-F-R. You know what the CAFR is? The CAFR is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, of all municipalities, of all governmental entities, whether it's the city of Minneapolis or a township or a county. They all have to do a comprehensive annual financial report, and it discloses where all the money is parked. When Minneapolis puts out their budget, that's not showing all the money that there is. They have money parked in various funds, some called enterprise funds, some called rainy day funds, things like that. So all this money is out there, and we shouldn't have to be struggling now. With $93 billion sitting in the fund, we shouldn't have to borrow money for any of our roads. Now, I'm not saying take the retirees' money. I'm saying that $20 billion will be an investment, but a state board of investment in the state of Minnesota for enhanced economy. An enhanced economy benefits everybody. And we'll watch it, and if you can help in some way launch our CAP program, I ordered and received hemp and organic cotton blend baseball cap, but the brim was on crooked, on the sample, and the area around the opening in the back of the hat was puckered. So that, and they're supposed to be the hemp people. I don't want to mention their name right now until I get to the bottom of why they're not answering my mail. I told them I want to send back the cap because the brim is out of line, so I need to do something about that. So if you want to help with the hats and the caps and all that, something for your vehicle, the treatment product, that'd be terrific. So that's it. I did this show under duress, but I've got everything out on the table here. So what has to happen is I think I'm going to take some shots of the table, but we'll see. Thanks a lot for watching the show, and I'll see you later. Let's see if I go there.